Let me know. We good, Megan?
We're good.
All right. I'm gaveling in the March 9, 2022 Long Hill Township Committee meeting. Will everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call and information were electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel and posted on the Township website. The agenda and public handouts for this meeting can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. Public comment period will be held in the order as listed on the meeting agenda. Committeeman Lavender.
Present.
Committeeman Ray.
Present.
Committeeman Veleza.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia.
Present.
Mayor Dorsey.
I'm here, the rest are present, so. All right, before we get into the Board of Health thing, Craig Toomas here, he has a special announcement he wanted to make. I told him we put him on early so he can get out of here. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Hold on.
Thank you,
Craig Tuma, 90 Summit Avenue, Gillette, and Valley Memorial, 1012 Valley Road in Gillette. Here representing again as president of the Sterling Fire Company. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update from the last meeting. We did have both of the apparatus that are currently in service inspected, so we should have a number. So what they do is they come out, they take pictures, they highly inspect the truck, and then they set it out for kind of auction. So we send it to probably 3 different people that buy used apparatus. I don't have a number for you yet, but he said he would have it no later than April 1st. And so hopefully we'll have a more firm number on what the value of those trucks are. So wanted to start there. Also, I wanted to extend a thank you to the committee members for hearing this and also for attending our annual induction and award ceremony. It was a great night, and for those of you who joined, again, thank you. We had a lot of people from neighboring townships that serve us in the capacity of mutual aid, so certainly thanks. And just a side note, I wanted to point out that our very own Chief Naga came to our aid. Unfortunately, somebody was desperately choking, and he used his expertise and his skills, jumped right into action and dislodged, the stuck object, and I would say saved her life. So I think that's deserving of a round of applause, and we very much appreciate it, and perhaps deserving of, a raise. What do you think, Chief? Perhaps deserving of a raise.
You just killed my police liaison's report, by the way. I had this whole thing planned for.
All right, well, thank you. Do you guys have any other questions about the apparatus right now? I think we're on target. As I said, we really do need to make a commitment by April 30th. If not, the trucks will go up considerably. So,
Thank you, Craig.
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. Now I have a motion to exit this meeting, go into a Board of Health meeting briefly.
So moved.
All right, so now, Megan, we're going to do a vote to go into the Board of Health meeting. Is that a voice vote?
I'm sorry, hold on. It was Committeeman Lavender who made the motion and Brendan who made the second?
Correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now I want to call to order the third Board of Health meeting for the year. Very busy Board of Health here.
Okay, so I'll call the roll.
Sure.
Okay, Assessor Sherman?
Present.
Dr. Redling?
Yes.
Committeeman Lavender?
Present.
Committeeman Ray?
Present.
Committeeman Verleza?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Present.
Mayor Dorsey?
Yes, present. All right, so the first order of business is Ordinance BOH 22-01. That's what we talked about last week, amending the fees for health inspections. So what do? Open up for public hearing? Yes. Okay, so anybody from the public have any questions, comments, or problems with the amended fees for health inspections? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. And can I have a motion to adopt ordinance BOH 22-001?
So moved.
Second.
Assessor Sherman?
Yes.
Dr. Redling?
Yes.
Committeeman Lavender?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey?
Yes. All right, next item of business, approval of the minutes of the February 23rd, 22 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Assessor Sherman?
Yes.
Dr. Redling?
Yes.
Committeeman Lavender?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey?
Yes. Any items for discussion? Anyone on the Board of Health have any items of discussion? Seeing none. Any members of the public have any comments or issues they want to address to the Board of Health? Is there anybody online?
There are 2 people. If you would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
All right, seeing none, I close the public comment section and ask for a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting for this evening.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we're back to our regularly scheduled meeting. Let's see. We have a first reading of ordinance 487-22. Jack or Nancy, could you explain what that is?
This is the bond ordinance you discussed at the last meeting, prepared by bond counsel for the acquisition of the 3 fire vehicles.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right, can I have a motion to approve ordinance 487-22?
So moved.
Go ahead.
Can I second?
Oh,
Jack,
yeah,
can I
no,
second?
we're waiting for you to, oh, you can't.
You can't vote.
I can't,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
So I can't do it.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Committeeman Lavender?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray? Are you
Recuse,
abstaining?
please. Yeah, abstain.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Dorsey?
Yes, I think, well, let's bring this up, and obviously Brendan can't have an opinion on this, we know his. We based the ordinance to make all 3 trucks. I assume that the committee's in agreement to purchase all 3 trucks before we would take a next step.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Vic, you okay with it?
Yep.
Okay. Don, you're good. I know Brendan is, but he can't vote. So, all right, so at least we can move forward. So I guess Craig does have his answer then before April 30th. Millington's already in the process already. Good job, guys. All right,
Also, Mayor Dorsey, the second reading for ordinance 487-22 will be considered for final passage and adoption at a public hearing on Wednesday, April 13th.
all right, great. All right, now consent agenda resolutions. Brendan, you have to obviously abstain from 1, 22-81. Oh, 2.
I have 2 of them, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any other consent agenda resolutions they want to discuss or pull out for anything? All right, seeing none, I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda resolution 2271 to 82.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Committeeman Lavender?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes, abstaining from 22-081 and 22-082.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
And Mayor Dorsey?
Yes, liaison reports. Let's see, Scott, you want to start this time? Start on the left this time.
Sure. Okay. Let me give, Madam Clerk is going to put some pictures out on the Zoom.
Right.
Don't hit it yet.
Pressure's on, Vic.
Why doesn't Vic go while we get set up?
Oh, yeah,
Mr.
sure,
Mayor.
Vic, go ahead.
Yeah.
With my liaison's report?
Yes.
Police liaison report for March 9th, 2022 is as follows. Self-initiated activity and calls for service year-to-date, 3,873. School activity year-to-date, 444. Motor vehicle stops year-to-date, 247. Community policing and proactive residential radar posts, 334. Arrest incidents year-to-date, 4. And actual subjects, both adult and juvenile, that were arrested, 5. Under special requests, we have a new law. New Jersey Safe Passing Law, otherwise known as NJSPL, passed with overwhelming statewide support, which went into effect on March 1st. The law joins the Move Over Law and the Crosswalk Stop laws in providing the law enforcement community tools to protect our most vulnerable roadway users. The new law was added to the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Code and provides roadway safe sharing rights to cyclists, runners, walkers, rollers, wheelchair users, and any person legally allowed on the road. Violating this law will result in a driver receiving a fine of $500 and 2 motor vehicle points if bodily harm is caused. If no injury occurs, the fine is $100. The guidelines for this new law will be posted on the police social media platform. Community policing, we have none. Thanks again, Chief Naga, for your level of professionalism and humility at the volunteer dinner. We appreciate you, sir. I don't know, do you want to give us a little brief description of this new law, or do we really have to go to the social media platform?
So it's
Can you just have the microphone?
Well, Craig handed it back.
Oh.
So it's quite similar to the move-over law they have for law enforcement and first responders. If you see a police officer on the side of the road, you're required to either move over one lane if it's applicable or slow down. They recommend a speed limit of 25 miles per hour if possible. That applies now to anybody on the roadway, pedestrians, bicyclists, people in wheelchairs, rollerbladers, whoever it may be. You have to also maintain a 4-foot gap at all times between you, at least a 4-foot gap between you and the person on the side of the road. Being that most of our areas, we don't have a secondary lane that they can utilize, you're not allowed to violate the no passing zone as well. So you would just have to slow down, move over 4 feet, and pass them at basically 25 miles an hour. That doesn't give you the right to get onto oncoming traffic or head-on traffic to avoid them. The move-over law, if you have another lane, you could utilize it, but if you don't, you just have to slow down to 25 miles an hour.
So if someone's traveling down Long Hill Road and there's a cyclist, and you're slowed down to 25 miles an hour, and the cyclist is there, you can't cross the double line to pass them when safe?
Well, you can't get onto the lane directly, or you have to keep a 4-foot distance safely, but you can't use that as a means to bypass cars and zoom down the opposite lane or the oncoming traffic. So it's not an excuse to zip past cars. You just have to slow down, keep a 4-foot distance, and move over to the best of your ability. So, but that applies for walkers, joggers, everybody on that roadway. So that went in effect March 1st.
Thank you.
It's a hefty fine if there is injury, and obviously some points. So, put this back.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief. Anything else? Wait, Vic, you were doing your...
Nope, I'm finished.
Oh, okay. Brendan?
No report.
Guy?
Sure, just very quickly, the Shade Tree Commission, the challenge grant information will go out sometime in March, late March, I believe. The price may increase slightly from past years. Read the newspapers, you can figure it out why. The trees that will be recommended are black gum, for those who are tree experts out there, and the Coosa dogwood. There's some discussion, there's concern that the current tree ordinance is a little bit, not so much unclear, but a lot of the tree companies seem to not be reporting when they're doing significant work. And if we can figure out a way to tighten it, they'll come up with some recommendations, they'll send it to the committee, and we can discuss it. And I think there's one in particular that Administrator Nancy Malul is aware of. I won't mention the address, where they may have removed trees without registering. And I believe I didn't know.
Yep.
And that's not good enough. I didn't know was not good enough.
Right.
But ignorance is not a defence in the eyes of the law, right, Jack?
That's right.
And so it's not the ordinance. I mean, I think
Fair
I
enough.
have to make it clear that is crystal clear, right? We've kind of we did it, we redid it, we banged this to death. So what we have is an enforcement issue, and so it's not anything to do with the ordinance. We worked long and hard on that ordinance to kind of open it up.
Fair enough.
To open up again, I think would be detrimental, and so it really comes down to enforcement.
I don't disagree with that. I just wanted to pass along what was discussed in the meeting. But I would recommend that that our zoning enforcement officer, Alec Meehan, understand that he has the authorization, which he does based on the ordinance, to just execute it as dictated in the ordinance. So I don't disagree with you, Brendan.
Yeah, no, I'll make one more point. There's so many anecdotal stories of trees getting cut down,
Disappearing.
everywhere now, right? And so I'm kind of fed up hearing about them, and so I think some of these need to be investigated and truly chased down what happened to them, because I don't believe that many trees,
But
wholesale
that doesn't
slaughter.
discount that it does happen sometimes.
Happens sometimes, just not as
And
often
when
as
it
I hear.
happens, what you're recommending
Yeah,
is that the ordinance be enforced.
yeah, absolutely.
And I want the record to show that I didn't say I agree with Committeeman Ray. I said I don't disagree. I don't want it to be,
Don't go too far.
there's no love fest going on here.
I have a question, but on the incident you just mentioned, was a citation, was there a fine issued or
I
no?
honestly don't know the answer.
Yes.
Because it was.
Was there a fine? No, but they were told they had to register. So the situation that you're talking about was, it was a new resident in town, and not only did they take down a lot of trees, they also started a lot of work that would require permits, and they didn't get permits. So a stop work order was issued, and they were informed that they had to come register the trees. And so they have since applied for the permits, and they have applied for the registration? I thought Alec told me they did.
I think
I'm not sure if we're talking about the same, right?
Megan,
I'm-
nodding, shaking her head.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know that we're talking about the same house.
in that particular case, they disregarded
But in
all
any,
laws.
in any event, and to be honest, Alec has, ran all over town tracking down people who are taking down trees without registration. So it is being enforced. It's just, it's difficult. You can't be everywhere at once and
And look, let's be honest, the main thing, and the particular house that you're talking about, non-permitted work and a lot of trees, I don't believe any of those trees were in the township right away.
they were not.
So it's really a registration question, not a.
It's- Yes, it's registration.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be real here, right? I mean, they disregarded just about every ordinance that we have in the book. So, this is the trees are the least of our problems with this in this particular instance.
Agreed.
Paul Bunyan.
And to be fair, although I think it's kind of a weak excuse, the person said that the person they bought the house from told them they didn't need permits for any of this. And they believed them, so there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
There you go.
Why did you figure that out?
I also have a bridge for them.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think I've exhausted that point.
All right.
All right.
So I have, let's see, from the fire department, obviously keep up the good work, everybody. I had the honor of going to the awards dinner the other night. Just a few things. Our own Alec Meehan, township employee, was won the President's Award. Jack Remington, a second-generation firefighter who's about 19 or 20, he won the Firefighter of the Year. Ronnie Stein, I think she's the only female member of Sterling Fire. Is that true, Al? 25 years of service, so thank you, Ronnie. And 45 years of service, Albert and Anthony Pepe, Tony Whitey Rito, and Joey Bacala, Don Cheech, Joe Bartolotta. 45 years of service, and our resident cowboy. So great job, everybody. It's a lot of volunteer hours and time over the years. So thank you. The DPW, if you noticed, they're out street sweeping again. Obviously, be careful passing the street sweeper. They're fixing all the basins and cleaning out the basins. So keep up the good work. And they're started to clean up at the lake. And now as the weather starts getting warmer and things start changing, we start going a lot more outside activity. So thank you, everybody. And Nancy, what do you got for us?
We got to do rec.
Oh, I forgot. We're back to I forgot.
Back to rec.
All right, look at that.
Okay, all right. Well, first off, Recreation Youth Saturday Basketball concluded on the 5th. We crowned our knockout champions in grades 5 to 8 this past Saturday.
And congratulations to the following winners: Towns O'Connor, Colin Wills, Timmy Pinto, and Matthew Connell. And currently, we're finishing up travel basketball season with 2 Long Hill teams that are in the semifinals of the playoffs. Our 6th grade girls team and 8th grade boys team are still in the hunt for the league championships. And also, up on the screen, congratulations to our 6th grade girls team, who brought home the championship title from the Clark tournament this weekend.
All right.
And adult open play basketball is going to continue until May 5th. Next, upcoming events. Red Cross CPR AED classes start Wednesday, March 16th, 6 to 9. There is a flyer out on our website. It's up on the Zoom right now, but all the information that you need to register for that is there. There's also a first aid class on Wednesday, March 30th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And thank you very much. Thanks go out to the Long Hill First Aid Squad for helping to host these classes. Lisa Scanlon is the instructor. Next, Long Hill Chamber of Commerce is working with Parks and Recreation for some upcoming spring events. First, Peter Cottontail. Peter Cottontail's, well, you got the egg hunt. Let's go with that. No.
Sorry,
No, that's fine.
that one. Sorry.
That one. Well, let's do the egg hunt. Right. So Saturday, April 9th, 10 a.m., Cantor Park, the annual egg hunt. Peter Cottontail will make an appearance. There'll be a petting zoo and pony rides sponsored by Choose Academy of Martial Arts, Little People's Playhouse, and Ava's Ice Cream. Also, uncover Peter Cottontail's route through Long Hill, where Long Hill children up to age 14, this means not you, Mr. Ray, can register for free to visit Long Hill businesses to uncover Peter Cottontail's route, all the while earning prizes and clues to discover the path he will take while hopping on through. More information on the website, and the flyer is up there as well. Next, summer jobs. So, don't forget, if you want to work in Long Hill Parks and Recreation this summer, they're still accepting applications. More information on the web. And then lastly, Sterling Lake memberships are going to open for registration on Community Pass on March 15th. One last thing, we had a telephone pole, well, actually, it's one of the light poles for Myersville Field come down after that horrendous windstorm the other night. There's a picture of it. It kind of took out some chain link fence, and we're just advising residents to stay away from the area right now while we clean it up. We'll have more information shortly on what we're going to do for repairs on that. And that's it. Recreation. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. All right, a lot of things going on in rec. And I believe, to piggyback on, the Chamber of Commerce is reigniting, so if you're interested in joining the Chamber of Commerce, I don't have the link, but if you email me at the town website, the town email, I can get it to you, or just stop in some local businesses. Good spots, Jay over at Individual Physical Therapy, if you can track down Gary Giannakis, a local realtor, or Mary from Mary's Your Name here in Millington. She's probably the easiest to get to because she's a storefront. So if you're interested in joining the Chamber of Commerce, probably go with Mary over at Mary's Your Name here in Millington, and while you're there, check out what she's selling. All right, Nancy, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I have a short report. The lights in Kenterfield are close to being completed. They were not here today because of the weather, obviously, but yesterday they positioned the poles and they ran tape through the electrical conduits. They are confident that we will have the lights operational by the end of next week, so it took a little longer than they thought. At that time, they will restore the grass and the other areas that they disturbed. Residents can now pay for their construction permits in person using credit cards, and online payments are coming soon. Cross Hill Road, the Cross Hill Road contractor is finishing the curb work next week, and paving will be done as soon as the plant opens. And then the first phase of that project will be done. And just a reminder to make sure that you license your dogs before April 1st in order to avoid a possible summons. That's it.
Thank you, that was brief. All right, now we have discussion items. Brendan, I think this one's yours. The money for emergency vehicles.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks,
Go
Mayor. I brought it up last meeting, and You know, we're right now, as we did tonight, we authorised the purchase of 3 fire trucks, but we also have not only the fire trucks, but also other emergency vehicles in town that come up for renewal, and these are expensive pieces of apparatus, and so we've never, well, certainly in the time I've been on the committee, we haven't looked to put money away every year to make the pain of renewal a little bit less. And so what I was wanting to propose, maybe not this year in this year's budget, but something that we might want to think about in subsequent years is to allocate a portion of the budget every year to emergency service vehicles, emergency service vehicle purchase. And I think you know, it's not foolproof by any manner of means. Any committee in the future can use that money for other things. But I think, and Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, if we do it by ordinance, at least any committee who would want to go down that path would have to at least would have to make it public that that's what they were doing.
Yes.
And hopefully
Repeal the ordinance.
yeah, and hopefully that way the public would have some foreknowledge of what was happening and input about it. So that was my recommendation for, as I say, alleviating some of the pain of apparatus purchase.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
I agree.
I guess it'd be a budgeting issue because, like, how much would you? I mean, I know you don't expect an answer, but how much you have to put away to actually significant? They can't put like $5,000 away because that's not going to do anything for it.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at it, it's probably upwards of, I'd say a minimum of 50,000, and more would be better. But you know, over the course of 10 years or so, that would be, you know, $500,000, maybe even $1 million if we increased it to 100.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Since we are paying, we will be paying for the next 10 years $265,000 a year towards the bond, to pay off the bond. If I could suggest that, I mean, I think it's a great idea, but that we don't start that until the first 10 years is up. And then you've still got the 10 years of the $50,000 a year.
But the only person who'll be around at that time is Guy to remember that we made that decision. So you're saying, Nancy, that we wouldn't put it in effect for 10 years?
Well, I mean, I just think that since we're paying, you know, a pretty significant amount per year, that's $265,000 in a capital budget, you know, capital payments every year, that to put another 50, I mean, it's pretty significant. You know, we're already paying about 10% of what our capital budget is every year on the fire truck payments. And so to add more, I mean, it's just a suggestion.
300-something grand a year just on apparatus.
You'd be paying over $350 just for that.
Right. No, I mean, as I say, it's you know, otherwise we're going to get into the position that we're in right now, where 20 years, 25, 30 years, we end up, you know, having aging apparatus, and it's this would, as I say, this might make it a little bit, you know, less of a bitter pill to swallow whenever we come to those discussions in 20 years' time.
Well, just so that you understand the impact, that it's $50,000 less that another department will spend on equipment going forward every year. You know, that, I think we've all agreed that we were gonna limit our capital purchases to what we were spending on debt service on the sewer bonds that we paid off, so that we wouldn't, so our capital purchases for the next X amount of years would have no impact on taxes. So we're already using $265,000 of that, you know, to pay for the fire trucks every year. Our limit is $2 million. So, you know, another 50,000 just eats away. And when you've got, you know, approximately $400,000 a year in paving, you know, we're already at half.
Right, I get it, but, you know, I think probably the impetus for the, you know, freeing up the money to purchased fire trucks, fire apparatus, which is you know, there's also the squad as well, potentially, although they you know, have had a history of buying from their own funds. But you know, the impetus for freeing up the money to do it this year was the sale, and what I'm trying to avoid is a future where we, you know, future committees at that time are making the choice of not funding a fire truck, which is a vital piece of apparatus, right, for first responders and for residents, because they don't have the funds. And so this would provide at least some amount of money that would be available to those committees and make that a little bit easier, because I know in the time I've been here, Millington came, I think in the first year I was on the committee with a proposal for a new truck, and we've you know, successive years it's been on the budget, and we've as a committee, I think, you know, quite rightfully, just because of financial constraints, we've kind of moved it from year to year to year. And so finally we had the sewer sale, freed up some money, and I'd like to avoid that in the future as much as I could. And so that's the you know, reason for the request to everybody else. Otherwise we're going to end up, you know, in the exact same position we were, and you know, with the increases that we're going to see in population in town and the types of buildings, and also the older trucks coming in, you know, as trucks get older, maintenance and repairs go way up, as we've seen, especially last year. I think it's prudent to start thinking about this at this time. You know, maybe we don't do 50,000, right? But we start putting some money and get some discipline and rigor into the process of it for emergency vehicles.
I mean, we'll make it work however you all decide how you want to do it. I just want to make you aware, you know, what the numbers look like.
And when what you say is compelling, it brings the number over to 300, you know, over 300,000 a year. However, when we find ourselves in a position that we need to buy a piece of equipment that's well over $1 million and there's zero money available towards it, I just don't think that's the right way to run a business per se. I think it would be a great idea, if possible, to put $50,000 aside. It's got to be a minimum of $50,000, because we're a year to have a significant impact when the time comes that you need another, you know, ladder truck. You have to have a significant amount of money there. If you have $200,000 there, it's really not a big help. If you have $500,000 or $1 million available, it makes it less painful when it's time to buy one of those vehicles. Just my opinion. I think we need to discuss it further.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask the chief and Brendan a question? The expected life of a ladder truck as opposed to an engine, are they similar? Is it longer for one, shorter for the other, or are they kind of in the same ballpark?
I think, Al, it's the same ballpark. It's 20 years per NFPA.
The obvious concern, and which lends something to what you're saying, is we're going to be well equipped, you know, when these trucks come in. But in 20 years, you know, so hopefully it can be staggered on the back end. We'll see. Who the heck knows? And the $50,000 a year wouldn't pay, obviously, for all of that. But at least it would be a solid down payment where future committees could then do the same thing we're doing today, where they can bond. In a perfect world, we would have staggered them, but because of past financial constraints, we did not. And so, you know, rock hard place, but I kind of agreed with Brendan. Oh, geez, did I just say that?
You don't disagree.
You don't disagree.
Right, you don't disagree.
I don't disagree with
There
that.
you go. Scott, you have anything on this?
No, I'd want to hear more. I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah, I'm with Scott, so we can discuss this at a later time, especially when budgeting comes around. All right, next.
Oh, we're definitely not putting in this year's budget, right?
No,
No, I mean, the
Okay.
request was for next year.
no.
Okay.
To start doing it next year.
When would we continue this discussion? For the record, I don't want it to fall by the wayside. I think it's important.
We do it after the budget talks. When's the budget supposed to, what's the schedule for the budget? I don't know.
I hope to introduce it before the end of the month.
This month?
March, yeah, we usually do it in March, but, we're gonna have to have a meeting. We'll talk about dates, to at least discuss capital, like
Okay.
we do with the department heads.
Oh, like a special meeting.
Right,
Okay.
sometime in March, we usually do that in March as
All
well.
right.
And I mean, obviously, there's no rush on this, but Scott and Mr. Mayor, if you could, maybe think about what other information you might like to have. We can, as much as I can, if I can get it, we'll put that in place, and then we can schedule the discussion at some point in the future. But if you can provide some of the information that you'd like to see, we'll certainly make it
I'm just
available.
bottom line numbers. I don't have to worry about the wear and tear. I understand that and the replacement. I understand all that. It's just, do I really want to put $50,000 away? Yes or no? That's what it is for me.
Right.
It's a matter of numbers, not about where it's going.
Okay.
Or the need for trucks or equipment. That's not an issue. All right, moving on. Jack, this is your Chimney Rock issue. You can
Yes,
brief us on that.
thank you, Mayor. In 2021, we received a letter from the attorney for Chimney Rock proposing a 35-unit apartment complex, which would include 15% affordable. After discussing it, we wrote back to him and said, come see us in 2025, when our period of repose for round 3 of Mount Laurel is up, and we'll consider it then. Then, on this, I received a letter this year. I can get to that.
Like a month ago, I thought.
Yeah, just recently. I got a letter again saying, please be advised that they represent them. As you may recall from my letter to you dated August 7, 2021, and the discussion that followed, my client is interested in redeveloping the property for an inclusionary residential project. Now they're raised it to 41 units, and they enclosed the concept plan showing a 4-story apartment complex with 41 apartments, and 15% or 6 units would be set aside for affordable housing. Notwithstanding the township's earlier hesitance, I respectfully request that my client's project is well suited for inclusion in the township's affordable housing fair share plan. Unlike some of the proposed inclusionary developments in the plan, my client's project would avoid any sewer capacity issues. And I won't get into all the details on that. He closes by saying, because the project would create a sewer flow that is less than the flow generated by the current restaurant, the project is well suited to start construction upon rezoning and site plan approval. Accordingly, I would like to arrange a meeting with the township representatives to discuss potential rezoning. Please let me know the availability. After discussing it with the Township Committee in executive session, I responded with the same response we had given in 2021, namely, come see us in 2025 when our period of repose is over. I then heard from the fair share people, and I can read you. Give me 1 second. But I opened it in my email too. From Josh Bowers at the Fair Share Housing Center. I hope all is well with you. It was better before I read his email. I am responding to urge the township to reconsider this position and hope that it will work with the property owner to utilize the existing sewer allocation to bring about some much-needed and long-delayed affordable housing in Long Hill. As we all know, the sewer ban in town has prohibited nearly all development for some time, including basically all of the affordable housing contemplated in our 2017 settlement agreement. The facts appear to have developed such that it is clear that the sewer ban will not be resolved until very near the end of the 3rd round and perhaps beyond, notwithstanding our agreement that would be resolved by some point this year, which is not really an accurate depiction of what our agreement said. Our agreement said something to the effect that we would make substantial progress toward it, and we have acted in good faith. As everyone knows, we sold it to New Jersey American Water Company, and they had 5 years from the date of the closing, which was October of 2021 to, or 2020, I'm sorry, of 2020 to complete the improvements to the plant which would allow the lifting of the sewer ban. The closing was actually delayed for several reasons, the main one of which was the fact that in Long Hill, we had to put most of the lines, when this town was being sewered back in the late 60s, early 70s, most of the mains had to go through backyards because of rock formations and things. So unlike most towns where the sewer mains are in the street, we had over 400 easements. Because of COVID, the vault at the county clerk's office closed, and New Jersey American's title company, or searcher, could not get into the vault and was unable to do much of the search. So our township administrator spent weeks, literally, going through township records, going through old files, and came up with most of them. But as a result, the closing was delayed almost a year until those title issues were resolved. So in my opinion, we're in compliance with the fair share settlement agreement. That's all to the side. I also remind you that even if the sewer ban issues were resolved this year, we are still in a durational adjustment situation in which the agreement requires the township to comply with NJAC 59343. That regulation demands the township to cooperate with property owners who are able to get DEP approval for sewer capacity. This seems to me like a situation that would be covered by that regulation. Keep in mind, the township pursuant to our agreement already have some age-restricted condo credits banked for the fourth round due to the extension of controls at the Lounsbury development. We've discussed this before. Lounsbury is the gift that keeps on giving. It was the first round.
How many units?
Well, the total units there, I think 55.
No, but how many?
Oh,
would be for
the credits, I think, we get a lot in fourth round. I forget what I'm looking, like 47 are carried forward, or 27 or 40.
In addition to that, we have 11 between group homes and the property.
That's right, but that shouldn't be held against us.
No, it should be held
That-
for reverse.
I mean, there's a reason the regulations provide for credits for certain developments, and, what we did in Lounsbury was, several years ago, the Township Committee turned the project over to the Board of Trustees, because before that, the Township Committee still maintained control. And in return, the board agreed to income restrictions in perpetuity. And that's the reason we got all these credits, because extension of controls is the technical term. Lastly, we need to amend our settlement agreement anyway due to the change in the elite property sites. And just as an aside, when we went to the compliance hearing and Brendan was there, I put it on the record that we knew there may be a problem with the south side of Valley in the redevelopment area, and that we were probably going to have to come up with a substitute site. So it's nothing we were hiding from anyone.
And you already did that, didn't you? Yeah.
We have not formally changed it. I'm not even sure we have to, but, it's a technicality. As I say, everyone was aware of it. We've actually come up with more units in some of the substitute sites, so I think we're covered there. Finally, he closes saying, I suggest we get on a call soon to discuss getting these amendments together and also include this property, meaning Chimney Rock, in the amended agreement. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
Right?
So,
And Jack, if I could, I would add, while not required, and to do so, and perhaps it doesn't really matter to fair share, I don't know, a number of years back, 5 or whatever, the township, without requirement, spent $500,000 or so upgrading Lounsbury to make it ADA compliant.
that's correct. It was in June of 2008, the state passed a law doing two things. One, doing away with the RCAs, which were regional contribution agreements, which allowed towns to send 50% of their obligation to other areas, urban areas mainly, and in return, they basically bought those credits. And we had done that in the first round with Newark, and the Township Committee actually bonded to pay for those. But the town has been very cooperative throughout Mount Laurel 1, 2, and 3. We've always met our obligation. And to the point, I just want to emphasize, I know I've already said it, in addition to those Lounsbury
credits, we already have
Yes.
11 units, and we're working with the same organization, Community Options, for doing up to another 20 units.
Group homes, that's right.
So, I think, Jack, to emphasize what you just said, we have always been very cooperative.
Yes, yes, we have.
What's the car wash property and then on Sterling Road across from Cholento?
Yes.
Does that, if those things are constructed, do they count for this round or a future round?
They'll be toward the future round as well.
Okay, and they're already in the works?
They're already in the works now. They don't have sewer either. And one micro point about this is the request is for 4 stories, where none of the others, the others are all 3 stories.
This attorney is super aggressive, because I know people that deal with him, so it's not uncommon for him to pull the stunts like this, and then he goes and cries the fair share when you say no. And that's basically it. Fair shares, you probably know, are backed or paid for by developers and or construction people. So we understand they have an agenda. So this is just them trying to justify their jobs and get more affordable housing, I guess. And this begs the question, where are the people coming from? I mean, they already have the 2 projects right in Berkeley Heights and other ones that in our town that were within all walking distance of Chimney Rock. So that's the other thing, to build these, and I don't think people are gonna be in them. Vic, do you have something to say?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I just paying attention to you.
Yeah, I don't think that's, I mean, I imagine the answer's the same as we told him the last 3 times he's asked. Unless somebody has something else to say.
You know, and over the years, we've always had Mount Laurel discussions in private because we had not yet reached an agreement. It was actually my suggestion, this discussion being public, so the public knows what's going on.
Yep.
Because we're not in the same situation we were prior to getting our judgment of repose.
And I believe Fair Share was, they knew the whole time with the settlement, not the settlement agreement, they've been apprised of what's going on with the sewer plant too, right? So they can't say they don't know about it.
Well, that's right, because PRISM actually went to Fair Share as well. So we had several Zoom conferences.
So they knew when they not signed this, they knew what was going on, now they're trying to renegotiate the deal they made, so to me, it's a non-starter. I guess you could just tell them politely to have a nice day.
Well, that's why I brought it to the Township Committee, because it's up to you all.
What's your opinion if we tell them to have a nice day?
See what they do next.
Well, I'd rather not give my opinion.
Got it, okay.
Just,
Golden.
All right, old new business, welcome signs. Brendan, do you want to discuss this, the welcome signs?
Yeah, I think
Go ahead.
This was mine. I mean, this wasn't my suggestion a few years ago, but I thought it was a very nice one on the part of the Township Committee to honour the first responders in town with a sign at the Welcome to Long Hill. Some of them, and so we have one for Millington, we have one for Sterling, and we have one for the squad. And you know, as I say, I know we often talk about how we appreciate our first responders, but that really was putting it into action. It was those were spots that were potentially revenue producing, but the Township Committee said we're going to give them to the first responders, and I was wholly in favour of that, and I thought it was an extremely nice gesture. So that was a couple of years ago, and it seems that our appreciation only you know perhaps only runs so far. There was a recommendation, for want of a better word, from the Beautification Committee to basically take the first responders' names off those signs and put them up for sale to generate some revenue. So all of the first responder agencies got an email earlier this week, and I wanted to bring it to the Township Committee's attention because this was it seemed, certainly reading the email, that it was a decision that had already been taken, and I've attended all our meetings this year, and I know that it wasn't discussed by us, and so I wanted to bring it to the attention of the committee and to get the committee's opinion on whether these signs should be taken down and basically sold off to businesses, or whether we maintain our appreciation of the good work that our first responders do, and keep them there. And I think the way I've characterised it, you know exactly where I stand on the issue. So that was why I wanted to have it on the agenda. And I think the other one was the other sub issue that I think we're all probably in agreement, but nevertheless I think it has to be said, is that we're voted to. The residents of the town voted us to make decisions for the town, and all decisions should come from us, no matter what the committee that is involved. They make recommendations to us for our discussion in public. The committees don't make decisions for us. So, as I say, that is a sub issue here, which I don't think we really need to discuss. I think we're all in agreement. We make the decisions, but I'd hate to see something like this happen again.
Scott, I think you had a beautification committee, so you can give.
Yeah, I actually attended the beautification committee meeting, partly on Monday, and we did talk about this, and so just to kind of adjust the perspective on it, because this is something that's been going on for a few years. The intent of the signs was always to be a revenue generating thing, and way back when, and I'm relying on other people's memories because I wasn't involved, when there weren't buyers for those signs, we put first responders on them. And I agree, I think it's a great thing that we honor the first responders that way. This year there's a demand for people to, businesses to have their names on these signs. But one of the workarounds that we talked about this is perhaps putting up a sign that's got all our first responders on it, and finding a place for that as well, because I agree with you that we need to do something along those lines.
Is it also possible, say this, I don't even know which signs have the first responders on it, but say for example, like I know the Murphy's Landscaping's over there. One would say Murphy's Landscaping, and then underneath it like Millington Fire Company.
Yeah, that's another thing.
So you
to
need to
talk about.
replace the ones that are there, just put the paying customer on there with the first
And-
responder.
That's what I thought.
And I thought perhaps the business might kind of compete, not price-wise, but they might want to have their name.
With them.
Matt Dorsey's flower shop in honor of the Millington Fire Company, or
Running a prom special.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
or I don't know. I'm
Again,
just trying to talk through it.
I thought there was room for I'm sorry, but I thought there was room for, it looked like the signs had room for more than just one advertiser, so to speak. We could have the emergency squad or the fire company, and along with other paying customers on the same sign. It looks like there's room, no?
okay, I mean,
There's room, but they just have to be altered.
I think we're escaping. We're kind of missing the point.
Yeah,
We're missing the point because these were always potentially revenue generating, right? But what we were saying here was, squad, fire companies, we appreciate you. We appreciate you because we're going to put your sign here, right? We're going to honor you. We're going to show our appreciation in a spot where we could potentially raise revenue. That was a couple of years ago. Things have changed. And so now what you're saying is, well, yeah, we can put multiple signs there, right? We put 2 or 3 or 4, or maybe we can all just have three right there. We can honor all 3 responder agencies in the one sign. Wouldn't that be great? Or perhaps we can even use it as an opportunity to charge even more for the sign, because if we have a business and they're honoring us, then that's even better for them. Maybe we can charge more money. Maybe we throw that one into the conversation. I think for me, it's really simple, right? You either take us down, or take the first responder agencies down, and put up your paying customers, and go back to every couple of meetings saying how great responders are, because that's really what it comes down to is lip service. Or the way I'm obviously coming down is show the first responders that you absolutely appreciate them, and forgo the revenue, whatever it might be, because I don't think we're that hard up for revenue. And keep the first responders there, show them in a tangible manner how we appreciate them.
Nancy, how much revenue do those signs generate?
They're $500 a year.
And then how many?
earmarked to do like beautification projects, is it not?
Right. There are 10 signs, but 4 of them are no charge. So there's the Millington Fire Company, Sterling Fire Company, First Aid Squad, and the Chamber of Commerce.
I know the chamber will give up theirs, I'm sure they'll give it up in a second, but I can't speak.
So
to
what's the total revenue though that they generated last year versus what they'd anticipate to generate next year?
It's 6,000 versus 10,000. Wait, sorry, the math. 500 a year times 6 paying right now is 3,000 versus 500 a year times 10.
Times 5,000.
Right. So it's a difference of $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which would be for the 3 responder agencies, it would be $1,500 a year. That's the price that we're putting on the first responder agencies. For $1,500, we appreciate you, but it's not $1,500 worth of appreciation. We're going to take you off. I think it's a bad message.
If I can just tell you the conversation that happened at the beautification committee, and again, just like Scott, I wasn't here, so I don't know, but what our understanding was that we didn't have takers for those 4 locations, so they chose the organizations to put up there. Well, of course, it's an honor and a show of an appreciation. The way it was framed to the committee was these were extras that nobody was buying. So, and rather than have them vacant, they put up names of the chamber and the 3 responding agencies. So that's the way the conversation happened with beautification. I just want you to know it wasn't meant as any sign of disrespect by anybody on the committee. I think that's fair to say, right, Scott?
And the thing is, I'm not taking it as a sign of disrespect, right? The reason I brought it back to this committee, because we're the ones who actually make the decisions, right? And we're the ones who are saying, you know, it's just like I said, we love those first responders. We love the fact that they get up, you know, all hours of the night and come out and do what they do. But when it comes to $500 a sign, $1,500 total, well, yeah, we only have so much appreciation for them. That's the message that you're sending. You put them there once, and now you're taking it away. That's a wrong message to send to our first responders. And that's my point. It's either you take them down and put them up if that's the decision. Fair enough. If you don't, putting other signs above them and putting them all in one, I think that is even worse, because first responders don't go out there and do it for the sign. But if you choose to honour them, if you choose to show tangible appreciation, don't take it away.
Do we have takers for the other signs?
We have 2, I think.
2 out of 3?
2 out of 4.
Yeah.
So why don't we just create 2 new signs?
Well,
There'll be 2 new entrances. There'll be 2 new entrances.
Yeah. The river can be one, the river entrance.
Look, it's a really simple one, right? And we should, and I don't want to prolong this. I've said all I'm going to say on it, but it's a pretty much a simple, straight up and down vote. It's either you want to maintain the signs as they are right now, or you take the first responder agencies down and you put them up to the highest bidder, or $500, whatever it is. The message is clear. You're sending a message either way. One, I think it's a positive message. The other, I think it's negative. But it's a straight up and down vote.
What did the other agency say?
We don't know.
Well, I heard from one member of Sterling Fire Company who said, okay, that's fine. I heard from one member of the First Aid Squad who actually went out and solicited somebody to replace his sign. So, you know, I mean, you're all looking at me. This is not my call. You know, I'm the messenger. I, sent out the email saying that at some point in the future, your sign may be replaced. Should I have brought it to the committee? Probably. But this is, the beautification committee's recommendation. And so in the future, whatever any of these volunteer committees, suggest, I will bring it to you first. I sent out the email just so that the chamber asked me what are the locations, and I wasn't about to put out the locations of all the volunteer organizations without letting them know that this was happening. That is what prompted this. So this is not my decision, it's not the beautifications committee decision, it's
Well, why don't we
you
ask
guys.
each of those people who have the signs, the chamber, the 2 fire companies, and the thing, and get them back to us. I mean, my position is you could compromise and have both on the sign, and I'm gonna see what they say. I don't.
Yeah, because it might be a misconception, but I thought that those signs were meant to have a few different advertisers on each sign. Like, in other words, when I go into other towns, it says, welcome to such and such town. It doesn't just have one advertiser. Sometimes it has 3 or 4, and it looked like our signs would be able to accommodate that. And I thought that we would be able to, honor our first responders in addition to taking on advertisers for signs that, to me, look appropriate to have more than just one advertiser.
Why don't we do this? Vic, you're on the beautification
Correct.
committee. So take that back. The next meeting, we'll have the conversation with them, we'll come up with a workaround.
But from what I'm hearing from Brendan, that's not acceptable.
No. I
Him,
think
it's not acceptable.
Have the conversation with them.
I think as a committee, right, let's not try and kind of slough this off, right, to somebody else or put it off to another day. It is absolutely clear. We either say yes or no, because.
Oh, so you want to put it to a vote tonight then? I'll put it to a
why not?
vote.
Yeah,
All right.
put it to a vote, and because we should be able to make the decision tonight. You either take them off or you leave them on. That's it. It's simple, because I've never seen more than one name on those signs coming into town in all the time since I've been up. And so, as I say, it's like we made the decision to do it a couple of years ago, and now we're taking it back. You're sending a message. That's what you're doing, and one's positive, one's negative, but we should be able to vote tonight.
So in your opinion,
He wants all or nothing.
right, one advertiser per sign, that's the way it's intended, that's how it should be?
Yep.
No sharing signs?
Look, if you're willing to pay, but then fair enough. But if you're honouring the first responder agencies, yeah, keep it to that. Don't bury us with like a bunch of businesses. It was right front and centre. When you come into Long Hill, you see one of the first responder agencies. If you're coming in by a certain point, that's a message to anybody coming into Long Hill. They appreciate the town appreciates the first responder agencies. That's what it is, because the first responder agencies didn't ask for it, right? It was the Township Committee said, yeah, this is what we want to do. It's a tangible show of our appreciation. That's what they did, and now they're taking it back because they get somebody to pay $500. So hey, that's it. You either say yes or you say no. That's it. It's as simple as it gets.
All right, we got your vote. I'll go down the line. Guy, or do you want to defer as usual and the rest of us?
Well, I mean, certainly, I think we can all agree, this is not in any way, shape, or form meant as a disrespect to the emergency services. $500, total of $1,500 a year is, I don't want to sound frivolous, but it really is a meaningless rounding error in terms of fundraising for the town. I have no problem leaving it as it is. Not for the reasons you're saying, though. This was never meant as a disrespect to the first responders. I'm fine with leaving it as it is. And by the way, Nancy, I absolutely agree. There was no ill feeling meant. This was just a recommendation. If the first responders feel that in some way, then leave it as it is. It doesn't matter to me, other than I want to respect the first responders. I'm fine with leaving it as it is. I just don't know if all the first responders feel as passionately as you do.
Well, all right. I mean, I think I'm speaking as a member of the Township Committee. Right? So I'm not speaking for all the first responders.
Right,
Right?
and
if that's what we want to do, if we want to have a poll of first responders now in order to determine if we're going to do something,
just saying,
this is a decision.
If this is going to cause a big issue, I vote just leave it as it is.
But the thing is,
we don't need the $1,500.
And I want to make one thing clear, right? I do not believe that this ever came to it ever rose to the surface as some kind of disrespect to the first responders. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm telling you is it sends a wrong message. The net effect of it and the net effect of the decision that we make is potentially negative.
So as a township committee member, because I definitely am not a first responder, and I think the residents can rest safely that I'm not involved in being a first responder, I'm fine with leaving it as it is.
I'll make a motion. We have bigger fish to fry. Let's leave it as it is.
I disagree. Like I said, it's not an insult to anybody, but they were there as placeholders just to make it look nice, and they serve a purpose, and the money that's used for that, for the beautification committee, is used to do the veterans banners, the other banners we hang around town, the decorations people want. We used it to plant, we got flowers that we planted. I believe some of that money might have been for the bushes, I'm not sure. And I know the beautification committee has other projects they want to do, and this helps fund them and get them done around town. And one of the biggest complaints we hear is how crappy, and I'm being nice when I say that, the Valley Road corridor looks. And some of this money's going to, I know they want to do a project where they wrap some of the electric boxes like they have in Warren and some of the other towns. So money doesn't grow on trees. And I don't think it's insulting to anybody to have two signs. I'm not saying double, triple signs, but let the first responder signs stay where they are. Add another ad to it if somebody wants to buy it. The Chamber of Commerce can come down. I don't really care about that. And I don't think they do either. But the other thing is, the first responders, like I said, I don't know what they're going to say. I haven't heard any pushback from, as Nancy said, she let them know, and they didn't give any pushback saying, oh, don't do that, we're insulted by it, or don't do that, we need the spot. So based on the limited information we have, I compromise and do both. Leave their signs up and put a revenue one there too. That's my position.
That I would never disrespect the first responders, but my perception of those signs has always been that there's room for more than just one per sign. That was just my perception. It looks like that what they're designed for. So I would 100% insist that we left the first responders up there, but in addition, made an additional slot for those who want to pay. That's my position. I feel I see it in other towns more than one name. I didn't know that each town was each of our signs was different. It was to showcase only one business. I thought if the demand was there, you could put multiple signs. Looks like they're designed that way.
I mean, like I said, there's room, but they're not built like that. They need to be adjusted, I guess.
Somewhat adjusted, right?
Right.
How much does it cost of, what we, Solomon, right, Solomon here. We could leave the first responder signs as is and add to the others.
That's my vote,
But
yeah.
there's a cost to making those signs.
It's $200. Not the big sign itself. That's
No, I'm
expensive.
talking-
The
so
little
200.
plaque
So
is
if we were to
$200.
add a name to the signs that are currently business related, it would be $200 to add a name.
Well, I mean, I guess it would be more because we're gonna have to make some kind of adjustment to the poles to be able to accommodate another sign. 'Cause
So in
there's
the end, it may not be
Is it a
worth
simple hook, though? Is it like a...
I don't know.
It appears-
Maybe, Al knows if,
Mounted on the brackets, aren't they, Al? Yeah, Al can. 4 bolts.
If
Okay,
this is why are we solutioning this here? If this is the compromise we want to take, why don't we refer it back to them, tell them what our intent is, and have them come back to us with the solution?
That's who,
Right,
who
to be
meeting,
clear,
the
what I
intent
just
meeting
read-
the
what I just-
organizations?
What Matt just suggested, figure out a way to add more signs and keep what we have.
We don't need 35 signs, maybe just one or two. You know what I
Well,
mean?
let them come back with a solution. They have, let's give it to the beautification committee. They have an idea in mind for how much money they wanted these things to generate when they initiated it. Come back with a solution that's a compromise.
Include in that as a possibility, leave the first responder signs solo,
Yeah.
but adding commercial names to the others, and please find out what that cost is to add. I mean, you don't want to make it counterproductive,
Well-
although it is a three-year.
it's a 3-year term, $500 a year. And just for another bit of information, we don't fund the beautification committee in the budget. This is their sole source of income.
Right.
Oh, Nancy, can you just ask in the interim, send an email out to the 3 or 4 organizations, say, at least give their opinion is on it? Meeting
Okay, I mean, I
Thursday.
did hear from one person in the audience from Sterling, and I did hear from Bob English from First Aid. Like I said, he didn't respond directly to that, like, he didn't tell me how he felt about it, but he did tell me that he went out to lunch and he found somebody to take his spot,
Yeah, but
at
as
the
long as
hotel.
they're-
So,
Granted, those are people, I want something from the organization.
something as an organization as a
Yes.
whole,
Yes.
I could ask them to do that, yeah.
That's fine, because I know they meet monthly, they all meet monthly as far as I know, so at least they come up with something, we didn't know the answer today.
Right. We would never want anybody to feel disrespected or underappreciated. We want to hear from them.
Yeah, if they say do it, if they say, hey, don't do it, then we'll consider a different thing.
And for my part, I apologize if that's what came across in the email.
No, it was more the whole process behind it that got me. But just one, it's like, we have the beautification committee, and they make recommendations, and if they make recommendations to us, and I don't think we've necessarily not funded anything that they've recommended, right? I mean, were they responsible for the trees in Matthew Cantor Park?
Oh, that was really Vic.
Well, no, but you know, I think the job is that they come to us, and normally their projects are bigger than $1,500 or $3,000 a year, right? So we ask them to think about how they can beautify the town, and if they come to us with the ideas, and we discuss the ideas, and we fund the ones that we think are appropriate, right? That's kind of that was the whole genesis of that committee. It wasn't to give them $3,000 and say, go crazy with your $3,000 beautifying the town. That wasn't what we did here. So I just want to clarify what my understanding, at least, and I was there whenever the whole idea of the beautification committee was floated. It was, come up with your ideas for the town, bring them to us, and if they're appropriate, we feel that they're appropriate, we'll fund them. We're not asking you to go out and fundraise. We're asking you to give us to give us the ideas. That was it.
I think we have,
I think we're all on
Yes.
point.
All right, so we'll move on. I'll do quick announcements, then we'll get started.
You had one other thing under new business, the donation.
Oh, yes. Neighbors, actually, they live by Al and I. They're Ukrainian, they're big American citizens, they have relatives in Ukraine. They are collecting donations through one of the churches one of their friends belongs to. And I spoke with Nancy today, and we got a bunch of Long Hill blankets and some other things. How many blankets? We have over 100, I think?
We have about 100.
About 100 blankets, Long Hill Township blankets that we have that are brand new. So I was going to suggest donating them to this organization. They're going to get shipped over either Poland or Ukraine and give out to the refugees and people that need them. So if anybody has any objection to that, I hope not. So we'll get that out. I think Al said Al can even drop them off on the way home from work one day and leave them in the garage, and all get shipped out hopefully the next week or so.
Okay.
So it's a good use to something that, yes, sir.
I might have some stuff stored from past year's gifts at BBW. I'll get to Nancy tomorrow.
Yeah, let me know what you have, and I'll run it by them, because it's stuff they might be, even if it's T-shirts, things like that.
I think it's the water bottles.
Oh, they definitely need that.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have some of those too.
Perfect. I know they need water bottles, containers. So there's stuff that's not going to use here that can definitely go to good use somewhere else. So, all right, we'll get that moving. All right, announcements real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had one more.
Go.
Can I give an update on the police radio?
Let me do the announcements, then do that.
Okay.
So I'll put you right into it. That's where I was going to put you. Let's see, the Venison Dinner, March 26th, 6 p.m. at the Sterling Fire Company. It's a great event. It's a major fundraiser for them. Please, I implore everybody to go, or if you know people that want to go. People come from all over the state to go to this. So please let them know. I believe it's $50 a person. You can buy tickets through any member of the fire department or their website or Facebook page. Next, we have the street fair. Dennis is not here to announce it. April 24th. Is that a Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday from 10 to 5 in Sterling on Main. Street fair. Obviously, we talked about the egg hunt, April 9th. Scavenger hunt, April 8th to 16th. And for those of you who enjoy theater, Watch on Hills is doing Mary Poppins. It's next Thursday. It starts. There's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 2 shows on Saturday. So I believe you can check out the high school website for tickets. So Thursday night, Friday night, I think it's 7:30 p.m. Saturday is a matinee and an evening show. So if you're into that, please buy tickets. Scott, I will turn the meeting over to you for an update on the radio. So if people want to come up and talk about the radios, unless you have something new to say, please. keep track of the time. Scott should probably be able to answer a lot of the questions by what he's gonna say today, because I know he's been talking to the chief earlier today.
Yeah,
Scott, go ahead.
and the chief can,
Yeah, the chief can
Chief
supplement
Nagy,
too.
you can help on this as well. So,
Thank you.
you know, the last committee meeting, you know, what we mentioned was that we were going to have a meeting with the county, and I think that was on the 28th, and that occurred.
Last Monday.
Yeah, right. And, you know, that meeting was held. We also had an alternative solution that was, you know, being looked at in parallel. And so, you know, there was good dialogue in that meeting, from what I heard. I wasn't in it. I think, Matt, you were on it.
Yes.
And county came out to Long Hill, did more tests, did more retuning of our systems. There was some upgrades to the handheld radios in terms of different antennas. There was programming of the repeaters in the schools. But the other significant thing that happened was Long Hill was able to influence county in terms of rolling out this new technology, which would allow us to do transmissions over the internet through cellular. And the Long Hill Police advocated this solution, and it's actually being looked upon very favorably by the county. In fact, they may roll it out into the neighboring towns that are having the exact same problems we are. But county installed the interface device in their facility, and our officers right now are using these new phones, these new radios, and are apparently seeing excellent results, right? And so, you know, now our officers have push-to-talk, ruggedized, basically cellular phones that communicate directly with the county system. So they work identical to county radios, except they're getting reception in basements, in the schools, everywhere that even a UHF radio is going to have a problem with. Chief, I don't know if you want to add something to that. You and I were talking today, and I was very encouraged by the results that you're seeing.
Thank you. I'm just going to bore you for a couple minutes here to give you a rundown of sort of a chronological rundown of what took place. So we had the meeting on Township Committee meeting on February 23rd, and following that meeting, we had a heavily attended and well-represented Zoom meeting that took place February 28th at roughly 11 a.m., which lasted quite a few hours. Present were representatives from local and county government, inclusive of county and township administrators, OEM, Morris County Communication Center Administration, representatives from each first responder agencies. Overall, it was productive. It was a very transparent meeting that took into account concerns of our first responders as well as our residents. I'd like to thank all those that were in attendance, as well as our residents who were vocal and persuasive in seeking some solutions. Since then, since that meeting, County Communications have taken the following actions as a result of our concerns. On March 2nd, Director Peoples, along with Sergeant Neuschwander, tested locations of concerns, and a recommendation was made to use a dual band antenna for the portable radios that was initially issued by the county. The recommendation was immediately instituted. On March 3rd, after county conducted a meeting with the radio technicians, a solution was drawn up to facilitate a more efficient channel bank configuration that includes General Police Channel, a patch of state police towers, Long Hill Schools, a local direct talk group, Warren Township, and Berkeley Heights, all by just changing or turning a dial on a radio. All programming was done and coordinated by County Communication Center and Northeast Communication. Additionally, on or about March 3rd, County Communication engaged Tango Tango to acquire their technology on a trial basis. The Tango Tango platform transmits radio communication over wireless networks. On March 4th, regarding the department-issued cell phones, was forwarded to County Communications for Tango Tango programming. All department phones associated with Tango Tango technology were immediately programmed and activated as of March 7th. March 8th, another access point for radio coverage was identified and tested in conjunction with Tango Tango technology. Director Peoples came back out again along with Sergeant Neuschwander and conducted additional testing in buildings with portables and also the Tango Tango platform. Regular testing has been ongoing on the Tango Tango platform inside various difficult and challenging structures, inclusive of our entire Long Hill Township School District. I'm delighted, relieved, and ecstatic to report that our in-building coverage inside structures has been an absolute success with seamless operations and communications. We're currently working with vendors to secure tactical mics to incorporate with the Tango Tango technology. If I can give you a brief demonstration, because I came up here with the portable, I'm just going to key up. Now, we would typically have a TAC mic attached, but for today's demonstration, we'll go with a push-to-talk feature. But let me tell you how, I'll show you how it sounds. 3047, 3055, and radio check.
Loud and clear, sir. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
And Chief, I remember last time you tried that, you couldn't even get a tone on your radio, correct?
Correct. And this is patched to the police channel, so this is not something separate. It's coming across our P4, what we were utilizing to transmit our normal radio operations. So, but, you know, I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge all the efforts exerted over the last couple of weeks and the endless emails and phone calls with Scott DiGirolamo, Director, Morris County Department of Law and Public Safety, Mike Peoples, Director of the Communications Center. But this progress was a huge undertaking in a short period of time, and the genesis was the concerns raised and brought to light by the members of the Township Committee and concerned residents of Long Hill Township. Special thank you to Committeeman Ray for leading this discussion and progression, for being attentive to the needs of our first responders, as always, and the disconcernment of residents such as Frank Liberato, who's in the audience today. Real quick, if I could just, I know this is radio, but if I can give a quick update on the construction process at the police department. We are looking to move, hopefully early next week, back into the building, only after we acquire an appropriate certificate of occupancy, which I think is due for inspection tomorrow. So we're making good progress, but we should be back in the building sometime next week.
When do you think you'll get rid of the trailers?
So we had to schedule that. They can't get out there any earlier than March 24th.
All right, so they'll be gone by the end. Oh, good news.
Yep,
All right.
yep. So we'll be clear come April 1st. Hopefully everything will be back in
Excellent.
order.
Now, how long have you guys been using the Tango Tango for? A day or two?
I think we went active on March 7th.
What kind of feedback are you getting from the people out on the street, your officers? What have they been saying?
Well, so they, one of the first things we did is, since it was our priority, was the schools. They tested everywhere from the various floors, the basements. We went actually into Milton Fire Company, into their basement, and tested there as well. So in building coverage, we have not encountered issues. There's some, there's a learning curve on all the features that are involved. But one of the key features that comes with it is the ability to activate GPS. So if there's a search and rescue mission, or we're out in the swamp, we can pull the coordinates off the officers' phones and actually have directions to get to that point. So if they locate somebody out in the swamp, we will know exactly where they are. So there's a lot of benefits that comes with this technology, and we're quite excited about it.
And your officers are happy with how things are going so far with the Tango Tango?
They are. I think once we attach the TAC mic to this, it's going to be just as easy as keying up their portable radio. So at some point, this might become our primary source of communication. It's looking that way right now. But.
And thank you, Chief, because I was on that meeting. Everybody was very professional. They both got their points across. You were very adamant about the issues we were having and the issues for the township and your officers. And the best news is that the whole thing is that after that meeting, within a day or two, you had people out here at the county, and your department and the county worked very well together to solve the problem. There's no finger pointing. There was nothing like that. Everybody said, look, we have a problem. Let's solve it. The county came down. Your department's extremely open to any solution, and it sounds like things are going on the right path now. So that's good to hear, and I'm sure once you get situated, then we'll deal with, I guess, Mike Peoples, and I think you told me this too, is that once you're up and running, then we'll go branch out to the fire companies and first aid squad as well, so they can get on Tango Tango, whatever issues. That's fairly accurate?
I believe so. I don't want to speak for county communications, but I think if we have a system that works, I couldn't see them not making it available to everybody else. But
no.
I know some of the surrounding agencies are already engaged in Tango Tango. I believe Harding, and I'm not sure. I think Chatham came on board today as well. So
that fast?
It's picking up quite a bit of speed. So.
And you able to communicate with Chatham Township or Harding through there too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So through that interface, you can create different talk groups. Favorites. You could assign your primary source So if I wanted to talk to all the chiefs that are on this, we can make that happen. Actually, I was on the phone, Tango, with the chief from Harding last night. So, and
All right,
he was in Atlantic City today and was able to hear crystal clear from Atlantic City. So.
And when it comes to the county dispatch, they don't know, the county doesn't, I guess the county can tell technically, but the dispatcher on the other side, they don't know if you're talking your regular mic or the Tango, correct?
It switches over to the police channel, so right now we're again, there's some tweaking that needs to be done, but as of right now, I'm just glad that we tested actually in courtroom, we tested in the administrator's office, and everything went pretty smooth. So.
Excellent. Good news. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And Mayor, if I could just say one thing. I mean, you're very modest, Chief. You've been advocating for this solution to this issue since probably the last 4 or 5 years that I know about, and now it's come to fruition. And so it was ready, it was primed, and the fact that we managed to do it as quickly really is down to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. Now we open up the meeting to the public. Yeah, fine. Anybody from the public have any questions? Come on up, Frank. Oh, Megan, remind me about if anybody's online later.
There's already one person raising their hand.
CA from CA?
No. The other one.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Frank Liberato, 589 Heritage Road. Real quick, Councilman Ray, I support your opinion about the signs, and I have a simple solution that I think everyone will agree with. The 3 first responder signs, my company will underwrite the cost with no name recognition. Everything stay the same, we'll cover the cost to the beautification committee. This way there's no discussion back and forth. I agree with him, they should be honored, and if we need to enter it into a yearly thing, we'll do it. So that's item number 1.
Fine. Thank you, Frank.
Very good.
Issues, we can take care of that. The other reason why I'm up here, I'm very grateful to everybody's input, working on the radio situation. I think everybody's getting involved, getting everybody to the table. I greatly appreciate everyone's efforts, the county's efforts, local efforts, the chief. And I think on a going forward basis, I think we need to address the existing contract that's in place. Is everyone on the council familiar with what the contract terms are currently in place? I have copies if anybody needs a copy to see it. There's a provision in there, which is provision number 6, which I think now that if this new system works, I think, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney, I would defer to Mr. Pigeon, but I think the contract would have to be amended to incorporate the use of this new technology going forward, because if someone new takes over the county and you get new people running it, they can defer to the contract. And the contract currently states, from the one in 2010 and 2014, the primary purpose of the county radio infrastructure is to satisfy the needs of the county of Morris, and the provision of the access to the system by the county to the municipality is purely voluntary. Accordingly, the quality of the reception in all geographic areas of the county cannot be guaranteed to the municipality. Therefore, the municipality acknowledges that this agreement covers the use of the system at its established for the county of Morris, and the county is not obligated to alter the system in any way to improve access in any geographic area within the county where the reception is inadequate for the purposes of the municipality. So I think to protect ourselves going forward, there has to be some kind of amendment or maybe a new contract written to protect us so that we don't have an issue where if they turn around in a year and they don't want to work with Tango and say, hey, listen, that needs to come off, it's
No, you're making a very fair statement. And once we get through the POC and, we get into the details on that, that is absolutely a conversation that has to be had. It should be.
It should be. I mean, I don't know, Mr. Pigeon, if you reviewed these contracts before we entered into them in 2010 and 2014?
I was not in the loop on those contracts. I was
Okay.
I was deeply involved with the contract with Bernards Township when that was done. This one, I'm reading things for the first time, responding to your Oprah request.
And Frank, this system opens up a lot of new features as well, right? And these were things that weren't anticipated in the first contract. So what you're saying is a fair statement.
Right. But even in the first contract, that even referenced that the county radio system does not provide continuous coverage in geographical areas, specifically in Long Hill. So we knew that in 2010, and we re-signed in 2014, and it's been a constant, you know, everybody trying to patch it and fix it, and I'm very grateful we're on the right path right now. But I think we need to ensure, at the end of the day, this contract supersedes everything. So they can give you permission to do something now, and if something changes politically down the road or technology-wise, they could turn around and say, you know, even with the Wagner Farm Tower, that's not included in this contract, so there's no guarantee that they have to provide use to us to that, because if Warren Township decides in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever number is, say, we need that space for our antennas, then you're out of luck and you're in the same position again.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
it's a consideration.
No, you're absolutely right. And to be fair, on the other side, this is a potential huge game changer for them from a cost savings perspective as well.
I'm sure that, I don't know what the costs are, so.
Well,
you
it's
know.
not, it's certainly a whole lot less expensive than putting up new towers, let's just say.
So then that would lead into the other option too of also, as you guys were considering exploring, bringing it back home at some point. If the infrastructure costs are not that high and our infrastructure was removed when this was installed, it's a thought to consider on a going forward basis that if we were to dispatch.
It gives us optionality.
It gives you options because, as you said, it's affordable, so that large capital investment of all this infrastructure and antennas now becomes secondary.
Yeah, well,
You know, it's a thought.
it's a thought. At the end of the day, not only was the problem solved, but the level of service went from here to there. Because like
great.
what Chief said, they can do GPS. If someone gets lost in the swamp, they can go find them.
Hey, listen, I'm
If he wants to
relieved.
take a photo at a crime scene, he can do it and blast it out.
I'm relieved, and I'm relieved with the fact that the first responders should be able to communicate amongst themselves. So, I mean, this was something that was building for many years, and I'm glad we got to something that's going to solve that. And I think, you know, I would still consider the option of bringing it home, because the only other issue out there is, you know, having people that know the town, and it kind of mitigates possible mistakes as far as locations of things, and may give you, I don't know what the date is, and it would be something to ask, is how long, you know, from when a call comes into the call taker that goes to the actual dispatcher to the radio car, compared to a department that takes it right in at their desk, like, you know, Madison or even Kenilworth, where my business is. So I would not completely just dismiss that idea. I just think that is something that should still be part of the conversation on a going forward basis.
Yeah, everything's on the table.
That's great. That's what I wanted to hear.
Oh, wait, Jack has a question.
I have a question, and I'm
Yes, sir.
not trying to discourage you if you want to proceed, but in light of these changed circumstances, do you still need all the emails you've requested in your Oprah?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Frank.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up, sir.
Everybody, good evening. I'll try and keep this somewhat quick. My name is Mark DiGiovanni, 580 Heritage Road. I have the fortune of living next to that fellow right there that you just spoke with. So one, good news on the technology. Understand that it's certainly a great need for it, and I'm glad that you have something in place, at least for the moment, until this POC is finished. I think from my perspective, I have other concerns outside of solving the technology challenge, the process that's put in place and implemented by this council when you are evaluating, procuring, and maintaining service agreements, service levels, and services that are critical, because that's where I think the failure is, if in my mind, right? Give example, not to point it to you, Mr. Pigeon, at all. You have not seen this document or agreement in the 10 years. You are not a part of that. Part of the process as we go through is that, one, we want to make certain that our agreements are aligned with what the community wants to achieve, what our goals and initiatives are, right? That's a very simple thing. But if we don't audit and look at the agreements as time goes on, so we've had this agreement for 10 years, we've never once looked and said, hey, does this align with what the current requirements are, the standards are, what the community wants? And I think that's a major component that should be addressed, because if it's happening with the police communication systems, what else is that happening to? Where else are we misaligned? Where is that waste coming from? So I think that's an important thing, right? So the other component to it too, and I think the Tango sounds really interesting, but when everything's working, that's awesome. I'd like to know what the availability, what the SLAs are. I'm certain you guys are looking at those kinds of things. Redundancy, more importantly, hey, Spotify just went down the other day, Facebook, huge, massive infrastructure environments, right? It happens, they do go down. So what's in place? Because there's a lot more in line than, hey, I don't get my music.
So let's talk about that
Yeah.
for a second. So first off, this isn't going over radio waves, so it's not going to be interfered by trees or atmospheric conditions.
Understood.
Right? It's not going to be interfered with equipment failures. The carrier for this is cellular network.
Yep.
And the cellular network can switch between providers, so AT&T, Verizon, whatever. So they built redundancy into it.
Okay.
Second thing, when you're in a school, for instance, you can also do this over Wi-Fi. So you can tap into the routers that way. The technology itself was actually developed by first responders. And it's being used by agencies all over the country. In fact, the chief, I think you talked to Township that uses it as well, right? So, from availability perspective, it's actually a higher level of service than what you might see from a radio. So I just want to kind of put that out there, that, this is the wave of the future with these things.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that you guys haven't done the due diligence on that, but I do know it's technology. More importantly, if something does happen, right, whether they get hacked, whatever it could be, right, how do we proactively identify that? How does a cop know that that's now taking place, that he has no capability?
He's still going to have the radio in the car, by the way.
That's irrespective. I'm saying if he is out of his car, he is out somewhere else, and that system is no longer working. Right? It's just one of those things. Again, from a monitoring perspective and understanding what's working, what services are being delivered, right? That's just how technology works. So that's just another concern that I think is important. And then, as I mentioned, from the responses and the due diligence and the documentation that I've seen when it comes to some of these things, and maybe it's, again, not because not all of you were here when we created or when we entered in this agreement with Morris County, right? But at the same time, as I mentioned, audits do need to happen. More importantly, continuous evaluation, baselining, performance, other capabilities of the technology that we're using, because you hit the trust button and what it was signed up for 10 years ago, maybe in 2 years is no longer applicable, or there's a better technology. So I'm curious, do we have processes in place where, hey, every 2 years, we are evaluating. We are saying we have a success criteria, process. Hey, this is what we'll look at. These are the financial, the operational, the business impacts, the end user experience that they will have. Do we have anything like that in place? Because as you leverage more technology, it's going to be important to have those things in place.
Yeah, actually, we do have that in place, and in fact, we went through that with the chief at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And Vic Verlez and I actually sat down with the chief and went through we got a tour through his policy documents.
Okay.
And so we understand a lot of the technology that he has and a lot of the technology that he needs going into the new year.
Is that new? Is that a new policy? I mean, because again,
No.
Scott, I'm not saying that you guys don't have, I'm just curious. I haven't seen any evidence of it in the past. So I'm curious, is that something now in place where?
No, there's a review at the beginning of every year. It's the first time I've been through it because this was my first year on the committee.
Exactly, and that's
Right.
Contracts that expire every year. We have RFPs that go out for different professionals,
Yeah.
engineers, all kinds of things. So a lot of times just automatically renews by itself. People have to put in bids and other things. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, under the local public contracts law, most contracts can only be 2 years max, with some extensions. So it's not like a private company that can enter into 20-year contracts for the most part.
No, I understand that, but I also know that scrutiny of those things sometimes is not done because of convenience. And that's all I'm just trying to say. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. I'm not trying to point fingers and say anything has happened in that nature, but again, without process, you can wind up in 3 years in the same position that we are. This solution may no longer work well. It may be causing other, scenarios, and we're in the same position where you guys are pushing rope with a county who doesn't want to or is not obligated to support or help you. Right, that's kind of the points I wanted to make. So, all right, it's good news to hear that. But again, like I said, I hope there's more transparency to those decisions and at least a very well-defined process. It seems like you have that. I'll take your word for it.
No, we appreciate your concern, and look, we're all pulling in the same direction on this. We're all citizens here in this town, right? We all own homes here. We all have kids here.
I agree with you. It's taken too long, though. That is. It's an honest truth. It's taken 4 years for this to happen. That's too long. and more importantly, not enough people need. So I do agree. We're all aligned and we're happy, and I want to get to a solution, but I don't want it to seem like, hey, yeah, everything's under control, because that's too long. As a father, I am beyond shocked that there are documented emails from 2014 saying that we were missing squad calls, that they were not received. I don't know how many there are in this town at that time.
That's not unique to this town, right?
I don't care whether it's unique to the town
It's
or whether it's someone
not
else's
unique to this
experience.
town either in New Jersey or around the country. I mean, it's
No,
just
that's
the
not,
fact of
that's
the
not
limitation
accurate.
of the
There is a
technologies.
certain level of failure. There is a certain acceptable level of failure. I do not know what the rate is. So to say that, hey, one happened, hey, if one happens, hey, that's a case.
That's not what I'm saying. That's
Then what
not
are
what
you
I'm saying. All right, well, anyway, we can debate all night, but thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
You used your 3 minutes.
You guys spoke just as well. I want a clarification of what he meant.
You used your 3 minutes. You can come back next meeting if you want. Moving on, anybody else have any comments?
How
from
about
the
we talk
public?
about the signs for 20 minutes? Would that be helpful? Would that be helpful? You can address in a respectful manner.
I'm being very
There's
respectful
no one
to
else
you.
here to
There's
talk.
a lot of people there. We have people on. I don't know if they
Yeah.
want to speak
How
or
about
not.
that?
Still 3 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public have any questions, comments, issues they want to address? Megan, anybody online?
Yes, there are 2 people with their hand raised, so I'll allow, looks like Mary Lynn Chiave to speak.
Go ahead.
You could unmute yourself and state your name and your address for the record, please.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. Mary Lynn Chiave, 63 Poplar Drive, Sterling. So my question to the committee is, I'd like to, well, first of all, I have to say, I just joined 20 minutes ago, so maybe I missed this discussion, not sure if it took place. Just would like to know kind of where you're at with the flood wall. Do you plan to proceed with this? Have you thought about other options such as, cleaning the river, perhaps installing catch basins strategically in the area, removing some of the tons and tons of fill that was brought in along the natural floodplain in Sterling over the last 60 years? So I'd like to know kind of where you're at with that. And really the second part of my question is, if you do plan to proceed, is it in your plan at all to compensate the homes that will end up behind the flood wall, to purchase them at fair market value?
All right. Are you done, or you want me to have anything else? Because then we can address those questions.
That's it.
Okay. So as to the compensation, I believe, and Nancy Guy can correct me if I'm wrong, if the flood wall went through and people were behind the wall, I believe there is a buyout for those people from the government, correct? Yes, they're shaking their head yes. So there is a buyout. Like I said, I don't know anything about that, but there is, so they're not gonna just say, all right, leave, and you're not gonna get compensated. As to the flood wall, we're still in the preliminary discussions. There's been no meetings. It's not like we're doing anything behind closed doors. There's really nothing going on with it. We haven't heard back from any of the engineers. We haven't heard back from the federal government. We haven't heard back from the Army Corps either, Guy. So right now, it's just, like I said, it's floating an idea out there, and we just merely told the government, hey, we're interested in discussing it again, and we're just waiting to hear back from them. Because, for example, if they say, oh yeah, we can do it, you're gonna have to pay $30 million for it, I don't think it's gonna happen. But as I said, there's a lot of moving parts here, and there's nothing really going on right now, as far as I know. I mean, Nancy's in more, she speaks to the engineer probably on a weekly basis. As far as you know, there's no updates, are there?
No, we haven't heard anything.
No, we haven't heard anything from any of the elected officials, the congressmen, senators. So I hope that answers your question, Ms. Chiava.
Chiavi, yes. Okay, all right, thank you. Just sort of a quick follow-up. Is there any appetite for, perhaps maybe working with the state in some way to, try to find a sustainable solution, for instance, like dredging the Passaic River that that is affecting so many towns throughout the state.
Mr. Guy will answer your question on that.
I think what we'll do is let the experts, the engineers who actually went to engineering school answer that if and when this conversation actually goes further. Nobody on this committee is qualified to respond to that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Megan, anybody else from the interweb?
Yes, there's a CA that's on Zoom, so I'm going to allow them to speak. If they could state their name and address for the record, please.
Yes, can you hear?
Oh, I apologize. Hold on one second.
Can you hear me?
Now
Yes, we can.
My name is Charles Arenowitz, Heritage Road, Millington. I have two comments and a request tonight of the Township Committee. My first comment is, thank God we got Tango installed, and we did this without a major communication failure and a tragedy to this township. I've got to thank everybody that worked together on this, county, the Township Committee, and a particular emphasis for Chief Naga, doing this research for the past 4 years. Thank you for his efforts, and we had a success tonight. Second comment, I've attended or reviewed all the Township Committee meetings over the past couple of years, plus kept it up to date on the website. I'm not on Facebook for security reasons. But I find it rather interesting that I and the other taxpayers have to subscribe to the Echo Sentinel, nothing against the Echo Sentinel, to find out what's going on in this township. For example, I found out more detail on the Eberly property, about the flood wall initiatives, and about the police radio communications by reading the echoes, not having a discussion with the Township Committee. We as residents can play that game the Township Committee is playing with the newspaper. Please read today's electronic version and eventually the printed version on an article, Residents Object to Flood Wall Resurrection. I believe we have to stop this behind-the-scenes discussion with the newspaper and have public comments from you as elected officials. My request this evening of all of you as an elected official, before you go to sleep tonight, I'd like you to think about and ask yourselves, have I done everything in my power to protect and provide for a truly safe environment for the residents of Long Hill Township? It's police, it's fire, it's rescue squad units. Think about that. I believe, based on some of tonight's discussions, with the contract and the response, I believe the answer to my question, if I could answer it, would be, I don't believe that you protected us enough. The answer is overwhelmingly no to my thought process before you lay down your head on your pillow tonight. You need to protect us and provide for safety of the Long Hill Township residents. And I'm really concerned for the safety of our children. One afterthought. As your head almost hits the pillow, is the $915,000 expenditure on 491 Valley Road and $300,000 to play tennis at night more important than the safety of our residents, in particular our children of this town. Thank you for your time. Pleasant dreams after you answer my question before you head to bed. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Arwanis. You're in California. Say hi to Amy for me.
She doesn't want your heart.
I will compliment Nicole on her excellent reporting. Thank you. Anybody else from the,
Oh my God.
anybody else from the internet, Megan?
If anybody else would like to raise their hand, please do so now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Anybody else from the public have any questions, comments? Seeing none, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're going back to closed session?
Oh, yeah, you're right. With no, we'll go back to motion to adjourn to executive session with no further action.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.